Greetings to all who wish to be greeted. I'm Dahlia Dull, and this is Scholastic Haiku, the game show where knowledge rules. Today, I am joined by my lovely contestants. From Carterville, we have Nick, Hiran, James, and Maddox. And from Breese Central, we have Jensen, Maxwell, Reiner, and Hunter. It is Breese, not Breeze, right? Breeze like the wind. Breeze like the wind. Got it. Breese Central. Thank you all very much. Today we're going to be playing Scholastic Haiku. I assume you know how the rules work. Okay, well the audience might not, so I'm going to explain it for them. You are going to have to answer first toss-up questions in which I will ask a question and either team will have 10 seconds to buzz in and give the correct answer. If you give the answer incorrectly, the other team will be given the chance to steal. If you interrupt me before I'm finished asking the question and get it wrong, the other team automatically gets 5 points in addition to the ability to steal, which means they could get a total of 15 points just for one question, just because you interrupted me and got it wrong. So if you're going to interrupt me, be right. All right, players, are you ready to haiku?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, fantastic. Let's start with our first toss-up question. What singer who featured on a 2023 remix of Lizzo's song Special received the 2022 album SOS, which include...
SZA?
That is correct, Maddox. You get to answer the bonus question. What South Asian river's valley was home to the ancient cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro? Mohenjo-Daro.
The Ganges.
That is incorrect. Breese Central, it is your chance to steal.
Ho Chi Minh.
That is also incorrect. We were looking for the Indus River. Indus River. What two countries, which are fighting in the ongoing Abyei conflict, separated after a 2011 referendum and now have capitals at Juba and Khartoum? Maxwell.
Sudan and
That
South
is-
Sudan.
Yeah, both of those are correct. Sudan and South Sudan. You get to answer the bonus question. What book, which opens with a rat being found in a family's apartment in Chicago, was the first full-length novel published by Richard Wright?
Stuart Little.
That is incorrect, and Stuart Little's a mouse. Carterville, you have the chance to see it.
Native Son?
That is correct, Native Son. What quantity can be measured with the Rankine scale is specified along with a pressure at a triple point and has a minimum value of absolute 0? Hunter.
Temperature.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. Pencil and paper ready. It's a math question, y'all. What is the height of an equilateral triangle whose side lengths are 2, given the height forms two 30, 60, 90 right triangles?
(2√3).
Sorry, that is incorrect. Carterville, your chance to steal.
The square root of 3?
That is correct. The square root of 3, or root 3, or radical 3. What man who championed the contract with America while leading a campaign to retake Congress in 1994 was a Speaker of the House from Georgia? Reiner.
Jimmy Carter.
That is incorrect. Carterville. Steele. Maddox.
Dole?
That's incorrect. We were looking for Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich. What architect who designed the Museum of Islamic Art and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame used 673 glass panes in his design for the Louvre Pyramid? Maxwell.
I am Pei.
Well, you're not, but that is the correct answer. Eo Ming Pei. You get to answer the bonus question. What British Prime Minister was criticized for his policy of appeasement toward Adolf Hitler?
Churchill.
That is incorrect. Carterville.
Chamberlain.
That is correct. Neville Chamberlain, to be specific. It's time for the media question. Please turn your attention to the television, where you will see an image and answer a question based on that. Charles M. Schulz wrote and drew this comic strip.
The Peanuts.
That is correct. The Peanuts. That is absolutely correct. What mountain range consists of the What mountain range contains the source of the Garonne River and the microstate of Andorra, which is sandwiched between France and Spain?
Pyrenees.
That is correct. We would have also accepted it in French or Spanish. What quantity whose change is negative for a spontaneous reaction equals the change in enthalpy minus temperature times the change in Nick?
Gibbs free energy.
That is correct. What reaction which is undergone by a substance when it combusts is contrasted with reduction and is defined as a substance losing electrons?
Oxidation.
That is correct. Okay. What country's president, Alberto Fernandez, is a member of its Justicialist Party, as was its former president, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner?
Peru.
That is incorrect. Breese Central, yours to steal.
Argentina.
That is correct. Argentina. I got a buddy from Argentina. Hi, Tita. What island? This is a toss-up. What island, where a civilization used the Linear A script, has a Bronze Age palace at Knossos? And that was the center of the Minoan culture. Maxwell.
Crete.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. What woman who starred with Chris Hemsworth in Men in Black International plays Valkyrie in the Thor series and Bianca Taylor in the Creed series?
Joseph Cirincione.
What woman? That is incorrect. Carterville, would you like to steal?
I don't think so.
Okay. We were looking for Tessa Lynn Thompson. We would have also accepted just her last name. This next one's a toss-up. What desert whose Paranal Observatory houses the Very Large Telescope is the driest nonpolar desert on Earth due to a rain shadow from the Andes? Also pronounced Andes. Maddox.
The Atacama Desert.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. The orchestral tune in the Hall of the Mountain King comes from what Norwegian composer's incidental music to the play Peer Gynt?
Grieg.
That is correct. Edward Grieg. What species whose scientific name is Dianea, Dianea muscipula, is a plant that derives nutrients from bugs it captures with leaves that close over. James.
Venus flytrap.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. In George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion, Henry Higgins makes a bet that he can turn what Cockney flower girl into a lady fit for upper-class society?
Eliza Doolittle.
That is correct. Eliza Doolittle. This next one's a media question. Please turn your attention to the television screen. This fantasy comic strip created by the Belgian comic Maxwell.
The Smurfs.
That is correct. What instrument that creates a melody through a chanter. And a constant harmony through drones has a Great Highland variety used in Scotland. Hunter.
Bagpipes.
That is incorrect. Or sorry, no, that is correct. That is correct. Bagpipes. Sorry, Great Highland is put there first. In 1780, this is a bonus question. In 1780, what British major who collaborated with Benedict Arnold in plotting to betray West Point to the British was hanged in New York?
No answer.
Carterville, yours to steal. Gonna need a verbal passing if you're gonna pass.
No
Pass.
answer.
All right, we were looking for John Andre, who would have also accepted Major Andre. In 2023, Hamish Harding was en route to what specific site when he died, along with the CEO of OceanGate aboard the
The wreckage of the Titanic.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. What object discovered in 1801 is the largest object in the asteroid belt?
Series.
That is correct. Do you hear that, folks? Sounds like a storm's brewing because it is time for the lightning round. You will get the opportunity to choose from one of 4 categories and have 60 seconds to answer a series of questions about said category. Breeze Central, because you are behind, you get to choose first. The categories are sharks, presidents at war, English grammar, and sevens. Give these answers that contain either the word or numeral 7.
We're going to do sevens.
Sevens, all right. You will have 7 seconds. I'm kidding. You will have 60 seconds to answer the following questions, which begin in 3, 2, 1. Vices that include sloth and gluttony.
7 deadly sins.
Correct. You also have the opportunity to pass. A group of liberal arts colleges, including Mount Holyoke.
Pass.
1954 film directed by Akira Kurosawa.
7.
Incorrect. Conflict that included the French and Indian War.
7 Years War.
Correct. Boeing plane whose MAX 9 model was grounded in 2024.
747.
That is incorrect. 1937 Disney animated film based on a fairy tale.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
That is correct. Nathaniel Hawthorne novel about a Salem residence.
House of Seven Gables.
Correct. Christian denomination that observes a Saturday Sabbath.
Pass.
Board game featuring the Great Pyramid and Colossus. I'm sorry, you're out of time. Group of liberal arts colleges, including Mount Holyoke, was the Seven Sisters. Conflict that included the, or no, you got that one. 1954 film directed by Akira Kurosawa was Seven Samurai. Boeing, whose MAX 9 model was grounded in 1924, or in 2024, was the Boeing 737. And the Christian denomination that observes the Saturday Sabbath is the Seventh-day Adventist. Board game featuring the Great Pyramid and Colossus of Rhodes was the Seven Wonders. And play by Aeschylus depicting an assault on the title city is Seven Against Thieves, or Hepta Epi Thieves. Carterville, you get to choose from the 3 remaining categories. Your choices are, once again, sharks, presidents at war, and English grammar.
Do presidents at war.
Presidents at war. Name the president who led the U.S. into these conflicts. Your 60 seconds begin in 3, 2, 1. World War I.
Woodrow Wilson.
That is correct. World War II.
FDR.
That is correct. The Spanish-American War.
McKinley.
That is correct. The War of 1812.
James Madison.
That is correct. The Mexican-American War.
Tyler.
That is incorrect. The Quasi-War.
Jefferson.
That is also incorrect. The Korean War.
Truman.
That is correct. The Bosnian War.
Clinton.
That is correct. The invasion of Grenada.
George H.W. Bush.
That is incorrect. The First Barbary War.
Jefferson.
That is correct. We will now go over the ones that you missed. The Mexican-American War was James Polk. The Quasi-War with... No, you said Polk, didn't you?
I said Tyler.
Okay. The Mexican-American War was James Polk. The Quasi-War was John Adams. The Bosnian War was Bill Clinton. No, you said that one. The invasion of Grenada was Ronald Reagan. And the First Barbary War was Thomas Jefferson. Back to the toss-ups, players. What popular programming language created by Guido van Rossum uses whitespace indentation to delimit blocks and shares its name with a reptile? Hunter.
Python.
Correct. You get to answer the bonus question. What African country is building the iconic tower in its new administrative capital, whose construction begins under President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi?
Kenya.
That is incorrect. Carterville, your chance to steal.
Egypt.
That is correct. Toss up. What country home to Nobel laureate Elias Balyatsky and Svetlana Alexievich is a former Soviet state ruled since 1994 by Alexander Lukashenko?
Belarus.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. In what decade, when the Black Monday crash caused the Dow Jones to lose 23% of its value, did the president implement trickle-down economics?
The 1980s.
That is correct. What art form whose performers may sport colorful, bold, striped kumadori makeup is hyper-stylized men's-only theater tradition in Japan? Maddox.
Kabuki.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. What collection of the ancient texts includes the Sama, a compilation of chants and melodies, and the Rig, which contains hymns to deities such as Agni?
The Vedas.
That is correct. Media question. Please turn your attention to the television screen. This alter ego of Bruce Wayne, a rich James.
Batman.
That is correct. What author who depicted himself as Peter Martin in The Town and the City wrote about Carlo Marx, Dean Moriarty? James.
Jack Kerouac.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. What Amazon Prime Video series that ended in 2023 starred Rachel Brosnahan as the title 1950s housewife who becomes a stand-up comic?
The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
That is correct. Although she's married, it's the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh.
But I'll give that to you. I'll give that to you. What class of rock makes up intrusions such as sills and includes rocks that are said to be intrusive if they form from the cooling magma? Hunter.
Igneous.
Correct. You get to answer the bonus question. Lynn Margulis proposed what theory that double membrane organelles like mitochondria and chloroplasts originated as independent organisms?
Hook theory.
That is incorrect. Carterville.
Pass.
It's also not pass. We were looking for endosymbiotic theory or endosymbiosis. What woman whose reputation was damaged by the affair of the diamond necklace was the wife of Louis XVI and Apocryphally said, "Let them eat"?
Marie Antoinette.
Yes, Marie Antoinette, who said, let them eat cake. A group of pirates called the Victual Brothers targeted what medieval league that built trading posts called contours and was led from Lubeck?
Pass.
And it's still not passed. We were looking for Hanseatic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to let the other team steal that.
I don't think we knew it anyway.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, then in that case, we were looking for the Hanseatic. We were looking for the Hanseatic. Sorry about that. In what musical is the Heaviside layer reached after the song Memory, sung by Grisabella, concluding the Jellicle Ball held by a group of felines? James.
Cats.
Correct. You get to answer the bonus question. The French word chèvre can refer to what animal or to a cheese made from its milk?
Goat.
That is correct. What author of How Much Land Does a Man Need? James.
Tolstoy.
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus. So what acid with molecular formula CH3COOH is responsible for the tart taste of vinegar?
Acetic.
That is correct. Media question, please turn your attention to the screen. An alien from the planet Krypton is the main character, Jensen.
Superman.
That is correct. What national park, which contains Hetch Hetchy Valley and the rock formations Half Dome and El Capitan, is in James?
Yosemite.
Yes, Yosemite is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. The Eight-Nation Alliance sought to put down what anti-imperialist rebellion in China led by the Righteous and Harmonious Fists? I did air quotes because it's in quotes on here.
Yellow Turban.
Say that again?
Yellow Turban Rebellion.
That is, you said Yellow Turban Rebellion?
Yes.
That is incorrect. Breeze, would you like to steal?
The Red Turban Rebellion.
That is also incorrect. We were looking for the Boxer Rebellion or the Yihutuan movement, which is what I thought you might be trying to say, but I had to clarify. What color, which names a revolution led by agronomist Norman Borlaug, also names a third party that nominated Ralph Nader for president? Hunter.
Green Party or Green?
That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question. Playwright August Strindberg was born in what European country, which was also the homeland of the Millennium Trilogy author Stieg Larsson?
Germany.
That is incorrect. Carterville, yours to steal.
Sweden.
That is correct. Correct answer was Sweden. What astronomer who showed that far-off galaxy's recessional speed is proportional to its distance is the namesake for a space telescope? Heron.
Kepler.
That is incorrect. Breeze, would you like to steal? Hunter.
Hubble. Or Hubble.
That is correct. That is correct. You get to answer the bonus question then. Thalassemia can cause enlargement of what organ responsible for disposing of old red blood cells?
Spleen.
That is correct. What phycologist who wrote 1902's lecture... I'm sorry, we are out of time because that doorbell means the end of our episode. Although, in case you were wondering, it was Ivan Pavlov. So, players, at the end of our game, Breeze Central has an astounding 200 points, but Carterville has twice as astounding 440 points. Congratulations, Carterville. You are the winners of today's episode, and I am the true winner because I get to host and be on television all the time. Isn't that great? Aren't you happy for me? Anyway, Carterville, you are the winners, and I am the host, Dahlia Doll, wishing you all a very good night.